Hello, grade 8 students. Welcome to our new normal class. I am Tomas Francisco G. Manarang and I will be your teacher in Health 8. And for today's video, let us talk about the lesson 1, which is the gender and human sexuality. At the end of this lesson, your class will able to number 1, identify the basic terms of sexuality. Next is explain the dimension of sexuality, assess the personal health attitude that may influence by the sexual behavior, and lastly, recognize the importance of sexuality to the family health. So, let's get started. So, let's start to discuss the identify basic terms in sexuality and the discussion sexuality as an important component of one personality. When you say human sexuality, it is a refers to the person, sexual interest, and attraction to others. Sexuality often shapes true emotion and sexual attraction to particular gender or sexes. So when you say human sexuality, this sexuality is involved for the emotional and the sexual attraction with opposite genders or exes or even same sex. It can also be experienced and expressed in many ways like desire, fantasy, value, behavior, beliefs, role, attitude, and behavior. Pag sinabing sexuality, napapaloob ito dun sa mga fantasy, behavior ng isang tao, paniniwala ng isang tao, ano ba ang role niya bilang isang lalaki or bilang isang babae. So natural at healthy part of being a male and female. And it is important aspect in masculine. When you say masculine, is the male characteristic and the feminine identification. When you say feminine, it is a female identity. So sexuality involves your name given at birth. So when you say sexuality, they are only two. You are male and you are female at birth. So the toys you play in childhood. So the friends you play with, the preference of your clothes you wear, and the role and responsibility you play in your own house. So nakikita po base sa ano po ang ano ba yung kinakabalaan mo, kung bata ka, ano kaya kayo nilalaro niya. So makikita mo pa lang doon sa laruan or doon sa sinuso ng isang bata kung ano na yung characteristic ng bata. Kung siya abay lalaki at babae. So when you say sex, it is refers to the physiological differences found among male, female, and various intersex body on the basis of the reproductive organs and function. So we have two organs, two main organs of reproductive system. For the male is the penis and for the female is the vagina. When you say sex, it is a biological aspect. Ibig sabihin, pag pinanganak kang merong penis, ikaw ay lalaki. Pag pinanganak kang merong vagina, you are a girl. So, yun po yung sex. Dapat dalawa lang po ang sex. The male and the female. So, we have two characteristics. Number one characteristic is the primary sex characteristic. When you say primary sex characteristic, those related to the reproductive system. Pag primary naman, relate po siya sa mga reproductive system natin. Sa lalaki, yung penis, yung nakikita yung nasa screen, at yung babae, yung vagina. So, yung nakikita niyo sa diagram, they are reproductive system. Next, what about the secondary sex characteristic? So, those that are not related in the reproductive system such as the breast and the facial hair. So dito sa secondary sex characteristic, wala na po bearing yung reproductive system. So try to look on the table. So from the male, voice become more much lower or break. Hair start growth on chest, head, arm, in a public. So, dito sa secondary sexual characteristic at puberty, so dito po magkakaroon ng mga lalaki na tumutubo sa kilikili or sa chest or sa muka. Sa babae naman po, yung kanilang breast ay lumalaki, pati yung nipple nila ay nag-enlarge. Ang buhok po nila same sa armpit or sa kilikili, yung hips nila hahaba, yung penis nila ay lalaki sa mga lalaki, yung uterus at big vagina ay lalaki rin sa babae. Ang tester ng isang lalaki ay magpo-produce ng sperm. Ang ovary ng isang babae ay nag-start ng mag-release ng egg and period being or tinatawag natin na menstruation. So, when you say secondary sexual characteristic, ito po yung pagbabago ng isang tao. Hindi na related sa reproductive system. So, pag lalaki ka, usually you are being tall, you're become a masculine, at lalaki po ang mga iba nating parts. Sa babae naman po, lalaki ang kanilang parts, especially their breast, their nipple, and other organ. Ang kanilang hips po ay lalapat. So, let's talk about the gender. When you say gender, it is a term that refers to the social or cultural distinction associated with being male, female, or intersex. It does not exist naturally because it was generally regarded as a social construct where the concept is created by culture and societal norms. When you say gender, there are so many. Merong masculine, feminine, LGBTQ. It is a social aspect. So, wag po kayo papalito sa sex and gender. Magkaiba po yun. Pag sabing sex, it is a biological aspect. Pag naman gender, it is a social legal aspect. So dito sa gender, pwede na lalaki ka sa sex pero you are feminine characteristic. Pwede po yun. So you are LGBTQ plus community. So let's proceed to the sexuality as an important component of one personality. So according to the American Physiological Association, personality refers to individual differences in characteristic pattern in thinking, feeling, and behaving. So it is how a various part of the person come together as a whole. So, when you say personality, nandito na po yung parang yung feeling mo, pinapakita mo na through your behavior, through your thinking itself, kung gaano na ba kalalim ang iyong iniisip. So, magre-reflect sa iyo as your personality. Sexuality refers to your total self. So, please focus on this diagram. So, we have 5. The physical self, mental, social, emotional, and the ethnical. When you say physical self, the way you look as a man and a woman. Kung nakikita kang physically na kung lalaki ka or babae. Mental self, the way you think as a man and a woman. Think. Mental. Paano ka ba mag-isip? Next is the social self, the way you interact with each other. Socialization. Paano ka makikipag-alibilo sa inyong kapwa. Next is the emotional self, the way you feel about yourself and others. So paano ka ba bibigay ang inyong emotion or interpret ang inyong emotion sa inyong sa your others or sa pakikisama mo? Paano kaya mapipil? Paano mo kaya mapipil kung nakakasama mo tong tao na to? And lastly, the ethical self, the way you value relationship. So, paano ba kinahalagahan ng inyong relasyon? Ito ba ay pinapahalagahan, binabaniwalaan, o kusang go in the flow na lang siya? So, ito po si ethical self. Paano ba binavalue mo ang kanyang sarili at paano mo binavalue ang sarili mo sa iba? Let's talk about the three-dimensional of human sexuality. So, there are three-dimensional of human sexuality according to the Greenberg, Bruce and Hauswatt 2017 in their book Exploring the Dimension of Human Sexuality. And these are the following. Number one is the biological dimension. When you say biological dimension, it involves a physical appearance, especially the development of the physical sexual characteristic, our response to sexual stimulation, our ability to produce or control fertility, and our growth and development in general. So, ibig sabihin po, more on physical po siya. They are physical appearance. So, paano ba tayo mag-response sa sexual stimulation? Paano ba tayo mag-produce or makontrol ang ating fertility? Paano ba tayo nilalaki? So, titignan natin via biological dimension. Next is the psychological dimension. When you say psychological dimension, involves our sense of being and learn as a sexuality. It is a attitude and feelings towards yourself and other people. So when you say physiological, for the word itself, physiological, attitude and feelings. Paano ba yung ugali mo? Paano ba yung feeling mo? Paano ba ugali mo sa ibang tao? Paano ba yung feeling mo sa ibang tao? Next is the social cultural dimension. When you say social cultural dimension, it is the sum of the cultural and social influences that affects you through an action. Sexual identities and experiences are acquired from influence and modified by an ever-charging social environment. People acquired and assemble meanings, skills, and values from the people around them. So when you say social cultural, this is the culture and the social influence na nakaapekto sa anong ginagawa mo or ano yung pinapaniwalaan mo. Let's proceed to the analyzing the factors that affects one attitude and practices related to sexuality and sexual behavior. In the book of Exploring the Dimension of Human Sexuality, according to Greenberg, Bress, and Hauswatt 2017, these are the factors. Number one is the religion. Religion and spiritual beliefs influence feeling about morality, sexual behavior, premarital sexual behavior, adultery, divorce. When you say divorce, these are the two married couple that they don't want to live together. Parang gusto na nilang maghiwalay. Divorce. Yan pa lang yung first step bago yung annulment. So gusto na nilang mahiwalay sa isa't isa. When you say contraception, yung mga pagpipigil ng pagkokontrol ng pag-iwas ng pagkabuo ng isang bata, where you are para interact sa other people, and abortion. When you say abortion, this is the ito yung pinaka issue dito sa bansa wherein nabubuntis po sila, hindi na nila kayang buhayin, so gagawin nila ay ipapalaglag po. Yan po yung abortion. So when you say religious, it's about for the morality, it's about premarital sexual behavior. When you say premarital sexual behavior, bago muna sila magkakaanak na po sila, bago muna sila kasal. So, di ba po dapat magkakasal muna sila bago muna sila magkaanak. Pero through their religious or through their beliefs na baka iiwan daw niyang kanyang asawa, so pupuntisin niya agad habang naghihipon pa sila na magkasal. Next is the multiculturalism. When you say multiculturalism, cultures are different country differ in the view of sexuality. So the word sexuality is very broad. So a person ethic background is usually determined by birth and is related to the country of origin, native language, race, and religion. For example, in the some Western country, abortion and same-sex marriage is legal, but is considered illegal in our country. So, bakit kaya sa ibang bansa niligal nila yung abortion and same-sex marriage? Na alam natin na yung abortion is bawal po kasi parang nagpumatay ka ng isang bata, parang pumatay ka ng isang tao. Sa same-sex marriage po, so ang nakasulat lang po dun sa Bible ay mga lalaki at babae lang po ang ikakasal. So bakit po kaya nila nilegalize ng ibang bansa? Kasi because of this culture. So yung culture po natin kasi na-adapt natin kung ano ba yung nangyayari ngayong araw, yung ngayong generation na ito. So, but in our country, it is not legal. Hindi pa po siya legal. Wala pa po nagpapakasal ng same-sex marriage. At the same time po, pag merong nag-abort po ng isang bata, makukulong po ang isang magulang. Next is the socio-economic status. When you say socio-economic status and the education also influence sexual attitude and behavior. I will give you an example. Example of this influence include a low-income individual, often thinking and acting differently than middle-class individual. So, meron po compare dun sa mga low-income tsaka sa mga nasa middle class. So, being more likely to engage in sexual activity in the early age and having children outside the marriage na tinatawag natin na premarital sex. So, sa mga low income individuals, ang ginagawa po nila is sila po yung mga tao na more engaging, parang more ang kanilang habits is the sexual activities wherein napupunta po na mabubuntis po ang kanilang mga jowa or mabubuntis po sila at makakaroon na sila ng anak outside the marriage. Kaya nakakaapekto din po yung economical status. So, meron din pong apekto yung mga low income kasi mostly po yung mga nagpa-premarital sex po the low income individuals. Kasi yung mga middle class po kasi mas afford po nila na magpakasal muna bago muna magka-anak. Next is the ethics. When you say ethics, the ethics of sexuality involves questioning the way we treat ourselves and other people. For example, the sexuality-oriented ethnical dilemmas include the following. So, should I not participate in certain sexual behavior? It is ethical not to ensure my full sexual history to the person I'm not going to marry. So, pag sinabing ethic, these are the So, ito po yung lagi nilang tinatanong. Yung nasa isip natin na ano ba yung mangyayari at ma-curious tayo. So, for example, this question, sabi niya, it is ethical to use a position of power to obtain sexual partner. So, kailangan mo pa mag-effort para hindi ka para mas maganda ang kanyang yung sexual activity niyo para maging masaya kayo. Ganun si ethic. Next is media. When you say media helps shape public attitudes. So, nowadays, social media na po, lahat ng mga tao, kahit anong pong chismis, napopost na po sa Facebook. So many topics about sexuality, gender roles, and sexual behavior. So, I will give you an example. So, meron po nagpo-post sa mga LGBTQ na gusto nilang mas batas ang SOGI bill through media. So, sa pamamagitan po ng media, makukuha or may spread nila ang kanilang information bakit natin ipasa batas sa SOGI bill. So, ang SOGI bill po, yan po yung Discrimination Act ng isang LGBTQ. Politics. Public policy affects our sexual behavior. For example, the Republic Act number 10354, or also known as the Responsible Parenthood and Reproductive Health Act of 2012, which the states recognized and granted the human rights of all persons, including the rights of equal and no non-discrimination of this right, the right of sustaining human development, the right of health, which is the reproductive health, the right of education and information, and the right to choose their make it decision. So meaning this Republic Act uh, aims to no discrimination at all. Dapat po pantay-pantay po tayo. Meron po silang karapatan sa any aspect. Next is the Republic Act number 9262, also known as the Anti-Violence Against Women and their Children Act of 2012. Ang layunin ng isang batas na ito ay para maprotektahan po natin ang kababaihan at mga anak natin uh, sa mga gulo or sa mga violence gaya ng rape and any severe violence na pag po ginawa ng isang tao ito ay makukulong po siya dahil sa Republic Act number 9262. Assessing personal health attitude that may influence sexual behavior. So when personal health attitude influence sexual behavior that are accepted to the society that follow social norms and standard. Below or in this slides, you can see the diagram showing that the health attitude can influence sexual behavior. So first is ourself. So assessing our body, takes responsibility of our behavior, knowledgeable about sexual issue. So dapat meron kang knowledge about the sexuality issue and also appreciate na natin ang ating katawan kahit anong binigay ng ating Panginoon. At the same time, responsible po natin na ang ating behavior ay makontrol kung tama ba yung ginagawa natin or hindi. Next is the family. Communicate effectively with family, able to express love to your family members, perform your duties and responsibility at home. So perform your duties and responsibilities to you class, you need to finish your education to make a better future. At the same time, habang po nasa schooling po kayo, meron kayong mga simple na mga duties sa bahay mismo. Next, you need to express love to your family na na pinapakita natin na mahal natin ang ating mga pamilya. And then also always communicate our family kasi kahit na aawayin natin yung pamilya natin, siyempre sa kanila tayo bababagsak. Next, our fears or mga kaibigan natin. Express love and intimacy in appropriate way. Have the skills to evaluate readiness for mature relationship. Interact with both gender in appropriate and respectfully way, and respect both gender in all aspect. So, nakikipagtungo, respeto lang po sa mga both genders or mga genders itself. And at the same time, you need to express our love, hindi lang sa pamilya natin, pati sa mga kaibigan natin. And then, ang mga kaibigan natin, sila rin yung nagtutulong para maging ready tayo for our mature or para magiging mature tayo kasi we are same interested kasi medyo sila rin din yung mga kasama natin wherein tayo at kayo rin po ang magpupush kung ano ba yung magiging mature or para magiging ready sa pagiging mature ng inyong balang araw. So using life skills to improve sexual health. So the life skills are learned behavior from our socio-cultural influence. So healthy behavior means is live unhealthy and meaning life. Totoo yun. If our behavior is not bad, magiging maginhawa po tayo. So always have a healthy behavior. So these are the life skills. Number 1 is making this good decision. So making good decision, making choice that our healthy and responsibility. You must have the courage to make the difficult decision and stick to them. Huwag kang mag-decision sa isang path lang. You need to decision plan A and plan B. Communication effectively. Communication skills help to avoid misunderstanding by expressing ourselves. So, ito po ang pinakamali sa mga tao, ang misunderstanding. So, always listen to our friends or our family before tayo mag-react muna. So, and then, magsasalita din tayo sa mga kung ano ba yung magandang behavior mo. So, it means that if you are listening at the people say, they will want to listen to you as well. Kasi kung ikaw ay magsalita, nakinig sila sa'yo. Kung sila na may nagsasalita, hindi ka naman nakikinig, mali po yun. Dapat makinig ka rin po. Respect rin po. Next is the practicing wellness. When you say practicing wellness, can be accomplishment through information about good sexuality. So, in the practicing wellness, be reach the goal. Please give great information about good sexuality. So always study unfamiliar issue, and then mamimit natin yung information. Next is the setting goals. When you say setting goals or aiming for something that you will give you a sense of accomplishment, just be sure to be realistic with your target goal. So meron ka dapat target. You have a target. Hindi lang po mabubuhay ka lang sa mundo, wala kang mission. So you have a mission, meron ka ring target. Next is the refusal skills. When you say refusal skills, it is a way to say no to something that you don't want to do. Pwede naman magsalita o pwede naman umindi. This skills requires practices, but the first, you will feel strongly about things you want to avoid. Kung ito ay nakakasama sa iyo, please say no. Okay? Lastly is the evaluating media messages. Is being able to judge the worth of media messages. It is a big challenge knowing that the most media messages are very convincing. Yes, power of words in social media, but yung kasing iba kasing tao, pagkabasa nila, mali pa ang reading comprehension. So, kung hindi mo naintindihan ang kanyang sinabi, look for the comment or itself. Doon mo makikita dun sa media, at least para hindi ka ma-misinterpret. Bago ka muna mag-comment, you need to think, you need to analyze the situation, doon ka muna mag-comment. Next is lastly, the relating the importance of sexuality to the family health. So when you say family health, it is the ability of the family to maintain wellness, prevention, control, and resolve problems in order to achieve our health and well-being among its members. So masasabi ang isang pamilya ay healthy is to dare kayo mismo ay magme-maintain ng mga wellness, pagsasolve ng mga problema, and so forth. So what do families do? So number 1 is they live together, work together, celebrate together, meet needs and wants, and love each other. So pag meron ka na dyan, you are a family health. So how are the family different? So sa size. So sa size po kasi may bigger and smaller. So ano ba yung disadvantage and advantage ng bigger? Ang advantage ng bigger is masaya. Kasi sa small lang, konti lang kayo. Ang mahirap lang is, marami ka pinapakain, sa small is, sakto lang. Next is the tradition. So mostly po sa mga tradition, kung pamilya ka ng Katoliko ba yun? Okay? Religion. Kung Katoliko. Merong iba. Kasi meron po silang family religion. Members. Food itself. So, meron po mga pamilya na hindi maarte, at so and so. And language itself, kung ano po yung ginagamit nila sa bahay. So, let's health check. So, in this health check is this called the generalization. So, write your answer on this space provided. So, why is sexual vital to the family health? So, I think our lesson is done. So, thank you for listening. I think marami kayong natutunan sa akin. So good day and God bless. So see you to the next video lesson. Goodbye.